Alright, let's get your seatbelt working the way it used to, not stuck in one position. That ain't fixing it. I don't know what that guy was talking about. Alright, first we're going to test the switch on the striker. This is the area where it's located. It is located on the door, not on the car. You're going to need to open the door, look from the ground up. This is what it looks like when the door is in the closed position. That black piece goes up and touches a switch to tell the computer the door is closed or open. This item gets dirty. You are going to need to clean this. I recommend spraying it with brake cleaner up there. Clean it out. Make sure it works real good. You may even have to remove this assembly to clean it well enough. It all depends on what area you live in. Taking this assembly out is quite easy. It's fun. You can do it. Make sure you put everything back the way you got it. Then after this assembly is cleaned and possibly lubricated, we are going to have to test this switch. Testing this switch will be done on the upper wiring harness. The lowering wiring harness is for the door locks. You need to test the gray plug, not the white plug. The black wire sends a ground signal into the switch. When the door is closed, it sends that ground signal to the green wire with the blue stripe. When the door is open, it sends that signal to the white wire with the yellow stripe. Get a continuity meter, test light. Make sure this switch is working correctly. Here is the wiring diagram for that area. Remember, this is the driver's door, not the passenger's door. If you need to work on the passenger's door, it'll be a different color. It's just the opposite. Take a look. And once you get this switch working, test the wiring harness from that plug all the way to the module under the passenger seat. Make sure the signal gets all the way to that green plug. Same color wires. Don't have a test light or multimeter yet? I recommend you go to this website right here, buyincoins.com. This is where I got my multimeter for under $10. It's a cool little multimeter, man. It'll do about everything. You can use it in home, on your car, wherever. $10, under $10, man. Cheap enough you can buy one for your brother. Another thing, man, it's got this cool blue backlight in it, man. It's awesome. They got a lot of other nifty stuff at that website right there, buyincoins.com. In fact, if you use me as a recommender, IMPRESSIONS, get you 5% off. Wait a minute, there's another field up there. Dude, search the internet. There's got to be an eBay 5 or 10% off code too. You can get throw in there, get some more money off. Check it out, man. They got a lot of stuff there. Buyincoins.com. Alright, you tested that switch. Let's test another switch. This switch is on the door pillar on the front of the car. Not on the door, but on the pillar. In fact, you should follow the seatbelt track all the way to the front. Just move the rubber out of the way. Take a look down that track all the way towards the front of the car until you find the spring. There's a switch in there that tells the computer the seatbelt is in the forwardmost position. This switch is connected to the blue wire with a white tracer. It gets a ground signal to the computer. This switch most of the time isn't a problem. Your vehicle might be the exception. Make sure that this signal gets all the way to the green plug on the module under the seat. Test it. Alright, did you get your drink? Sit down. Here's the next part. We're going to test the seatbelt motors. See if it works all the way through the track. Maybe you threw out a gum and it didn't make it all the way out the window. You're going to need a 12-volt power supply for this, so steal the battery out of your brother's car or duct tape an extension cord to your battery to run it back. Somehow you're going to need 12 volts for this. This is where the motor is located. On the center pillar lower intersection of the car. You're going to need to remove the plastic panel to get to it. Access the red plug, not the gray plug. You can unplug the plug from the harness. It'd probably be best to do that. And put positive to one side, negative to the other side. The motor will go one way. Flip it around. Negative to one side, positive to the other side. The motor will go the other way. And make sure it goes all the way to the front of the track and all the way to the back of the track. Don't force it, just let it run. As you can see right there, it is a red wire, a blue wire, yep, blue wire with a red stripe, or a blue wire with a white stripe. And also get your continuity meter out and test to make sure it goes all the way to the module. You don't have to run power, just make sure that the wire is not shorted out. If you like what you've learned so far, stay tuned. At the end of this video, I will tell you of a way you can make a donation to my PayPal account. And also testing 2 switches on the center pillar upper area
break for
where
right
the
now. We're going to get
seatbelt
right
retracts
back
to
where
the
we
back
left off
position.
at.
Number
Instead of
20
the
on
red
this
plug, we will
illustration.
be testing
This is where
the
my
white
vehicle
plug.
had its problem. You're going to have to remove the plastics to access this gray switch pack area. I think there's like 2 screws and a 10mm holding this pack in there. You're probably going to want to remove this pack and also unplug the white plug from the harness so you can see the wire colors. It's a white wire with a blue stripe and a white wire with a black stripe. On the other side, the wiring colors are different, so just match it up. You're going to want to test the white wire with the black stripe for the outside switch, the blue wire or the white wire with the blue stripe for the inside switch. These both get a ground signal. Ground is ground, so you don't have to worry about which wire for which. Just get a ground off something else. As you'll notice, this switch right here, this little T part right there, this is the white wire with the black stripe. And when that little T thing is pressed down, it stops the ground signal. When it's not pressed down, it sends a ground signal, which sends a light on your dashboard to tell you that your seatbelt is not plugged in. This most of the time isn't much of a problem, but clean it with some brake cleaner and get it working again. Remember, this is the black wire. And now the blue wire. This is a real tough switch. You're going to have to remove some of the gray assembly from some of that black assembly. Where that screwdriver tip is, can hardly tell it's a screwdriver. There's a little pin switch in there. That tells the computer the seatbelt is all the way to the back position. If it doesn't get that signal, it doesn't know when you open the door to bring the seatbelt all the way to the front to let you out of the vehicle. This is a difficult area to clean up, but once you get it working, I think that'll get you back on the road. You know, when you got all those plastic panels out, you might as well clean them both sides before you put them back in. This is the next section we're going to work on. This is the shoulder belt retractor, the thing that rolls it back in. It also holds it so when you're on a hard stop you won't go flying into the steering wheel. Most of the time this is not a problem. Unless you dump a whole Slurpee into that area, then you're going to have to take it apart and clean it up. You're going to have to remove the whole seat to get to this. A couple 14mm bolts. I noticed when I removed this is the area where the lap belt clips in there. It was a little dirty, had some soda in there I guess, so I cleaned it out and put it back together. It worked just fine. But this also has that retractor roller there. I do not recommend that you open this at all. That's why they made a clear housing over it, so you can look in there to see if there is a problem. There is a little solenoid that locks the belt so you can't pull it out. That's what holds you back, and also a sensor to see if the belt's being yanked too much. This is probably your worst case scenario if this is the problem, but you might want to test the wires on this, test this, see what the sensors are doing and the solenoid is doing. Here's the wires and the wire diagram to give you a little more information. Most of it's just ground signals going to the different components. The one on the left is the lap light. If you want, test this out.